Great, thank you, Alan. So trend number 4 on the list here was about consolidation and complexity, and I'm sure everyone who's on the in attendance here on this webinar, I'm sure knows that one thing that everyone's seen is growing complexity within this industry. There's been so many new technology products that have come out that it's really hard to understand how best to make investments within the marketplace, for how best to recruit talent, and it's outside of even just talent acquisition, but it gets into every area of HR is becoming more and more complex due to the availability of products that are out there. And there's things like the cloud that are making it possible for companies to iterate and bring products to market very quickly. And I think these are some of the things that have actually been driving a lot of the consolidation that we've seen. And we know that we've seen things like Connexa be acquired by IBM. We've seen Taleo get picked up by Oracle. And there's so many of those examples. And recently, and just in the last year, I think the couple that have come to mind immediately are the very recent acquisition of Broadbean by CareerBuilder. And earlier we had Workday pickup Identified. And so there's a lot of, I think there's a few reasons that are driving these that I thought were kind of interesting to just talk about. One of those is that, I think probably everybody also on this, who's attending has probably been part of some kind of an integration with some HR product. And if you have, you know that integrations are typically very difficult and very expensive. Your IT group usually hates them, except insofar as they provide a lot of job security to that group. But it's really been awful, and us as a provider of products who do integrate with ATSs and other HCM products out there, we know it as well that it's just a very tough proposition today still. And so I think this is driving people to want to work with the same vendor. They know that, folks like IBM and Oracle know that, they have an easy upsell to existing clients, because if you bring in a different product that's not integrated, you're going to have a tough time doing the integration. So they love that. They're swallowing up, all of these products out there. I'd already mentioned kind of the migration to the cloud is actually making it a lot easier for people to bring products to market. Look how many startups there are out there who are offering all kinds of various technology products, apps, other software things that are really now so inexpensive. With a group of a dozen developers, you can bring a pretty amazing product to market pretty fast. So the cloud is really shaping what's going on there. I think the other item is, because of the costs have come down so much, is that we're really starting to see a lot of the innovation actually happening at the SMB level. And it's kind of twofold: is the costs are making it possible, but it's also that the companies that are in this small to medium-sized market often don't have as much like compliance and regulations that they have to deal with. Usually they have HR departments, legal departments that are a little more lax in policies. They don't really have as much at stake. So it's really allowing for companies to iterate and get products out there really quickly to that market. So things like video interviewing, I think we're seeing, are actually being adopted by some of these smaller companies. And the third piece of that, which is a funny one to me, is that startups are out there making products for themselves. Right, there's so many startups that they're actually making products for other startups. And so most of these companies are usually like under 20 people. So there's just a lot of innovation that's happening. So that's a really neat place to look for kind of new technology in the marketplace. And then the acqui-hire, which you're not familiar with that term, is acquiring a company simply to get the talent that they've got. So that was the Workday Identified integration or acquisition that happened recently. Workday was just simply looking to pick up a really amazing engineering team and did that, killed off their product, but now have integrated those guys and are using their talents to build really amazing stuff for Workday. So I think there are some opportunities in what's all gone on. So for the folks who are here listening, I think that one of the key things here is that, existing partners that you have are out there acquiring products. They are developing new products, because of that ability. The cloud's brought us the ability to iterate faster, bring products to market. So it really makes sense for you to review capabilities of your existing partners and understand, if you're looking for some something new or a new, some kind of new capability, you're looking to reach a new market, you're looking for additional channels, definitely makes sense to talk with your existing partners, see what they have available, because you may find that they've got something out there that they didn't have before, and it's probably going to be a lot easier to use their product, especially with the technology product. So, talk with your ATS vendor, if you have a HCM vendor, any of those, check with them for new products regularly and just kind of stay on top of that. I think outside of that, if you're looking to change any of your key technologies, like a full human capital management suite or just ATS, anything like that, you definitely want to look for vendors who have more complete suites. Those are going to make it easier. A lot of them are selling their products a la carte, yet later if you need to expand, you can add on another product for a lot easier than it would be to integrate something outside. So even if you're not maybe interested in picking up the whole suite, it might be worth demoing the whole suite just so you can understand what parts are there later. And then thirdly, it would be if you don't find somebody who's like a full HCM partner and you're really looking for a very specific piece, definitely look for partners that talk about having an open API strategy. So API is application programming interface, and this is the way that other products would integrate together. The reason that integrations have been complicated in the past is that usually these APIs that are used to plug products in together have been they've not been standardized. So this is why every time one product vendor goes to connect with another product vendor, it kind of feels like they're starting from scratch. So having an open API usually means that they're working from a standard that's more industry standard, that's open, and by open, what they usually mean is that they'll allow anybody to come in and plug into that without having an existing client kind of ready to go. So, and we've done this with some of our technology products, which is to plug into a vendor like iCIMS, who does have an open API strategy, and they make it a lot easier to integrate, and usually the time frame of integration, goes down to weeks versus months of what, an existing integration would take. So the other big opportunity there is that if you've got a particular kind of niche group that has specific needs, something like maybe you're looking to hire developers for just one specific division, or maybe it's kind of an experimental area, it definitely makes sense to look outside of some of the existing places you've been looking and look at SMB tools that might be able to help that group with just a niche need. If you're a really big client, we know you're going to have some kind of compliance needs where, it could be that your company policy requires that everybody who comes through your recruiting system has to actually go through your applicant tracking system. And that's fine, but what you may be able to do is to leverage tools that are further out on the front end, maybe for sourcing, that might help you identify developers early on, start relationships. And we know from experience that, the stronger the relationship you have with candidates before they get into the application process means that you're going to have a much higher percentage of people who are willing to go through what could sometimes be a very onerous and long process. So definitely we think it's valuable to take a look at some of those products, especially for those niche needs. And then certainly embrace the cloud. One thing that we know is that many companies today still have issues with using the cloud. We think they're going to change, but for now, definitely, we would keep pushing on products that are cloud-based, even though your internal groups may say that, they're not open to using the cloud for this yet, because that ongoing need is going to drive adoption of new policies. And this brings me into kind of predictions, which the last one on that list, though, was that if your cloud policies today aren't friendly to using cloud vendors, my prediction is that they will. I don't know if it's going to happen totally in 2015, but every company is going to have to evolve towards a policy where they have at least selective use of vendors in the cloud. I think it's just an absolute mandate today to stay competitive within any industry. So definitely that's going to happen. I think we're going to see more acquisition of vendors happening. I think the place where I would be looking are going to be in ECRM tool vendors, and the reason for that is that we're definitely seeing, apart from the technology, we definitely see more and more companies who are moving towards a sourcing strategy apart from a recruitment strategy. So if you think about sourcing being what happens before somebody goes through and applies for a job, and recruiting being kind of what happens after they apply. We're seeing more and more effort being pushed out to that kind of sourcing area, and that's going to bring about a need for much stronger ECRM tools. And sorry, just to make sure that I've defined this for everybody. So I'm talking about electronic candidate relationship management. So this is basically the ability to track the communications that go on between you and your candidates long before they've actually applied for a job. So this is a huge need that's going to be driven by those sourcing capability needs coming up. So we definitely think there's going to be stronger tools coming, and then we're going to see acquisitions of those tools. If you aren't using a tool today for that, we're pretty sure that you will, especially for those. Alan had a great slide that had his first graph was on the biggest need or the biggest issue people have in the marketplace today was that lack of skill sets, and this is what's driving people to go out and not wait for those people to apply, basically hunt them down early.
Yeah, and I think it's also fueling the pay for performance trend that we're looking at, because as clients move to a sourcing strategy, they want the leads. It's not just a matter of throw something out and hope you get something back. They're actually working the ECRM tools and the leads that they're getting.
That's right. And so the last item on here was we're definitely expecting that you're going to see the product vendors who offer open API strategies, we're going to see them grow because they're going to have a much easier time integrating. It's going to make more and more sense, and they're going to have higher satisfaction across their clients. So certainly that's what we see.